on the homework, one of the assignments was to do practice test 54, 1 through 15, untimed. So typically on an LR section, you should only miss one of the first 12. And if you're missing more than that, it's either a timing issue or an accuracy issue. Partly, some of us have not gone over all the question types. So if you're missing certain question types, it might just be because if it's a necessary assumption, we haven't covered it yet, and you might not know how to attack it. But really, if we can get good at those first 15 questions, then a lot of us, you only have to get 17 or 18 correct to score a 160 on this test. And so really, these first 15 questions can be a great place to focus. So does everybody have what questions they missed in the first 15 in front of them? So look at how many you missed. And if you're missing one or two, maybe those are question types that you need to review or answer choices that we needed to go over. 7 and 8 were two that were very missed on this. So, and these were a little bit more difficult. And I think there was one other that was missed, but I saved it for, I think it was a necessary assumption question. So I'm saving it for whenever we cover necessary assumption questions. But 7 and 8 are both question types that we've gone over. And so everyone go ahead and right now, read the stimulus silently. All right, who wants to read this out loud for us? Jemmy, do you want to go ahead and read it?
Sure. So, environmentalist. The excessive atmospheric buildup of carbon dioxide, which threatens the welfare of everyone in the world, can be stopped only by reducing the burning of fossil fuels. Any country imposing the strict emission standards on the industrial burning of such fuels, this means the reduction of the carbon dioxide buildup. This reduction requires, however, would thereby reduce its gross national product. No nation will be willing to bear single-handedly the cost of an action that will benefit everyone. It's obvious then that the catastrophic consequences of excessive atmospheric carbon dioxide are unavoidable unless...
Awesome. All right. So our first sentence here, the excessive atmospheric buildup of carbon dioxide, which threatens the welfare of everyone in the world, can be stopped only. What kind of condition does only introduce? Katie?
Sufficient condition.
Only introduces sufficient?
Necessary.
Yeah, sorry. Sufficient.
Yeah, she's like, it's too early. But it's like 11 a.m. your time. Only, Gina would be allowed to have that excuse. So only. So we were going to diagram this, which we don't have the diagram on the test, but just for a visual, if we were going to stop the buildup of carbon dioxide in the world, what would that mean that we did?
We reduced the burning of fossil fuels.
Yes, we reduced the burning of fossil fuels. So reduce fossil fuels. I'm just going to do lower fossil fuels. What happens if we do not lower fossil fuels?
We will not reduce the buildup of carbon dioxide.
Yes, we will not stop it. Correct.
Yeah.
All right, second sentence. Any country imposing the strict emission standards on the industrial burning of such fuel that this reduction requires. So what does requires? Is that a necessary or sufficient condition?
Necessary.
Necessary. Awesome. So any country that is imposing or allowing these strict standards would thereby reduce its gross national product. No nation will be willing to bear single-handedly the cost of an action that will benefit everyone. So they don't like single-handedly, so like they're not going to handle this issue on their own, right, and cover the cost for the whole world. It is obvious then that the catastrophic consequences of excessive atmospheric carbon dioxide are unavoidable unless. What kind of condition does unless introduce? Do you know, Cora?
It's a necessary, but there's a special way to diagram those.
What?
I know there's a special way to diagram unless.
Well, you have to switch it. So like
Yeah.
the atmosphere of, they're unavoidable unless, so you cannot avoid this unless this happens. So if this happens, hold on, then the atmosphere consequences. So the so you are, if you do not have the excessive atmosphere carbon dioxide, that means whatever we want, whatever it's going to be, is going to be our answer actually. And if we don't have that, then that means that we for sure will have the excessive carbon dioxide consequences. But don't worry about that diagram for right now. Let's think about this. So we are looking for what is needed for our conclusion to be true. This is almost kind of like a necessary assumption question, in the sense that we are looking for a necessary condition, not an, because it's an unstated premise.
Question.
Yes.
So unless that should be introducing a negated sufficient, right? Not a negated necessary.
It is obvious then that the catastrophic consequences of excessive are unavoidable. So you will have, if you have that, or if you avoid them, or if you have excessive carbon dioxide.
No. I'm just talking about unless. Like the phrase unless. I might have got it wrong, but this is what Seven Sage said. Seven Sage said unless is a negated sufficient.
Yeah, that's what I have here.
No, the carbon dioxide. So you should have negated.
Yeah, I do. Like I switched it. Do you see here?
Okay. Yeah. I kind of confused that it was necessary. Never mind.
Right. No, sorry. It is, but the negated becomes the sufficient. But yeah, that's why I don't worry about diagramming, because it's easy to get confused diagramming. But just for a visual of what we're looking for. So this answer choice that we're looking for is, we know that it's going to be a necessary condition. So if we think about what our conclusion is here, which is, it is obvious then that the catastrophic consequences of excessive atmospheric carbon dioxide are unavoidable unless this happens. So what must happen?
Burning fossil fuels.
What?
Would that be kind of going back up to your first diagram, and that was the only by reducing the burning of fossil fuels?
Yes. And what else do we need to reduce the burning of fossil fuels?
We need strict. I'll say we need strict emission standards when we write.
Yes, and yes, we're getting even closer. But why is
multiple countries to agree?
Yes.
Countries to agree. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So all of these are necessary or needed, right? Because no nation will be willing to do it single-handedly. So if no nation will do this single-handedly, if we want to accomplish this, we're going to need more than just one, correct?
So you need many.
Many. Yeah, because some is just at least one.
Right.
All right, so go ahead and take a minute and look at these answer choices and put your answer in the chat.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
All right, that's awesome. Trish said that she put B in her first time, but got C in blind review. So that's awesome. So you're focusing on those first 15 and getting them right in blind review. That's a win for your homework assignment. So that's great. So let's go through these answer choices really quickly. So we're looking for a necessary condition. So A, all nations become less concerned with pollution. Then do we need all nations to become
too strong?
Too strong. Yeah, we don't need all of them. B, multinational corporations agree to voluntary strict emissions. Do we need the corporations This is why B is wrong. One word makes it wrong. Do we need corporations to agree to this?
No, you just need countries.
We just need countries. Yeah. What are multinational corporations? So this would be like a company that is in multiple countries. Do we need those? No. This is a question that if I would have spent probably significantly more time on if I didn't predict my answer. But since I predict my answer, it's pretty easy for me to go through and eliminate. And because if we look at E, a world government is this. Do we need a world government to be established?
Too strong.
Too strong, right? D, distrust among nations is eliminated. Do we need to trust all nations to be able to accomplish this?
Relevant. I mean, trust is not mentioned.
Right. Is trust needed to have strict emission standards? We don't, that's never stated. So even if you don't love C, I think this is an answer choice that you definitely can get to even pretty quickly just by eliminating the wrong answers. But then C, international agreements produce industrial emission standards. Yes, because what if international agreements do not produce this? We need more than one country to be able to handle this industrial emission standards, right? So this is combining what Mel and Katie said earlier, that why do these two things matter, which is what C gives us. Any questions on this one? All right, Gina, do you want to read number 8?
Yep. A clear advantage of digital technology over traditional printing is that digital documents, being patterns of electronic signals rather than patterns of ink on paper, do not generate waste in the course of their production and use. However, because patterns of electronic signals are necessarily ephemeral, a digital document can easily be destroyed and lost forever.
All right, Gaia, can you explain this stimulus to us?
Yeah, sorry, I have some background noise.
No, it's fine.
So it's just saying that technology is bringing, so technology has, it's bringing electronic signals, which is better in a way from the paper because you're not, creating waste. However, there's also a disadvantage, which is the fact that it can be easily destroyed and lost forever. So it seems like there's an advantage and disadvantage.
Great, yeah, that was a great, what's the word? A great summary of, hey, there's this advantage and there's this disadvantage. What kind of question is this, Derek?
This is so if it's a statement, it's either must be true or more strongly supported.
Yes. Some people would say like generalizations, like some people would call this a principal question, but I agree with Derek that it's just like what is most supported from the example that we're given above. So if you had to predict something here without reading the answer choices, what would you say if I asked you to give me a generalization of what's happening here? I like what Gaia said, where she's like, sometimes things have an advantage. Let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. Yeah, so sometimes we have an advantage of one thing over the other, but sometimes that we also have a negative side to that. What answer choices did we say for 8 that we were debating between?
A and B.
A and B.
A and B, okay. So B, what at first appears to be an advantage of a technology may create more problems than it solves. Do we have any example of there being more problems? Do we compare the level of severity of the problems?
I mean, what I took that to mean, and I died on this hill for B. I was convinced, and I made sure everyone knew that I thought B was right and it was wrong. But I was convinced that they were comparing the problems of it generates waste, and so it's harmful to the environment, to it can be destroyed and lost forever. Like, I thought those were the two problems that it was doing, that it was comparing. And so the idea of it can be destroyed and lost forever is a problem that
what is the, hold on,
worse than just not causing waste.
what is the problem of digital technology?
It can be lost forever and easily
What?
destroyed.
Nope, you're right. Okay, what is the problem of traditional printing?
It creates waste and
So
can hurt the environment.
Is being lost forever or being wasteful a bigger issue?
I'm not sure.
So
It
then
depends on the situation.
Yes, exactly. We're not sure. So how can B be the correct answer?
But it says may. It doesn't say it does. It says may create. That's what threw me off. Like, I agreed. I didn't love it, but it said may,
Right,
so I was like, okay, it's mild.
May, but Katie, what kind of question is this?
I don't know. I don't know.
Katie, lean into it. You're okay. Lean into it and see it for next future problems. What kind of question is this?
Well,
What did it say?
he said it was the most strongly supported.
Or must be true, right?
Right.
So we have to stay between the lines.
Yeah, so we're looking for mild.
Yes, so may. Do we support that this may happen?
I think we do.
No, you're okay.
Oh, I'm so stuck on this hill. I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. May happen, may create more problems. It may, you're right. It may, like that B could be true. You're absolutely right that it could be true. 100%. But do we know for certain that one might happen more than the other? No, so if I was debating between these two and I was like, okay, does A have to be true, where a property of a technology may constitute an advantage in one set of circumstances and a disadvantage in another? Does that one have to be true based on what was said?
I think, like, I just don't understand how the word circumstances is being meant. Because I took that as we have two different situations, like two exact same situations where this problem is good and it can be bad, as opposed to two different qualities. That's what threw me off about A, which made me not think it was true.
Okay. So in A, it's saying the technology. So in the one circumstance, it's just whatever we're talking about, waste.
Mm-hmm.
And the second circumstance is like losing it forever.
Okay.
You use the word situation, I think.
Yeah, I think I thought that circumstance and situation were like, I use them interchangeably, and I don't think that was right.
No, I think they are situation and circumstance. Like in one set of circumstance, like in one situation, and a disadvantage in other. So, hey, a property of technology can be an advantage when we're talking about not wasting, and a disadvantage when we're talking about losing something forever.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't think B is a terrible answer, but if I had to pick between A and B, can we see why A is a more mild answer?
Yeah.
Katie's
No, I do.
I know it's hard, but like whenever I think so, like whenever we get between two, this is a great lesson for everybody. Whenever we get between two, especially when it's a question stem we're not as familiar with, ask yourself, debating between two, what kind of question is this? What is my goal? What must be true? Do I want a strong or weak answer? More mild? And ask yourself which one is more mild between the two. So don't be afraid to regroup, which I know you probably are like, I went over this question enough, leave me alone. But all right, everyone, go ahead and do 16 and 20 on your own. And put your answers in the chat when you're finished.